In this week's Parsha, the very first Parsha of the Torah, we read about how Hashem created the world. He created the world from absolute nothingness, and He created an entire world filled with everything. But the Pasuk tells us that even after He created the world, even after He created all the plants and the trees, however, nothing had sprouted yet. None of the grass or none of the vegetation, none of the fruits had actually sprouted yet. Why? The Pasuk says, because there was no man to work the land. And since there was no man to work the land, therefore nothing was produced yet. What does that mean? Hashem created the whole world, something from nothing. Hashem created the whole world. He couldn't make the plants grow as well. He needed man to come and work the land. So Rashi explains that Hashem was waiting for a man to come, and he was waiting for him to daven that it should rain, and then Hashem was going to finish the world. Why does Hashem need that? Elimelech Biderman tells a story about a landlord who had a tenant, and his tenant refused to pay the rent. And it was going on months and months and months. The tenant refused to pay the rent. So finally he took him to court, and the judge asked the tenant, well, why didn't you pay rent? So he says, well, I didn't pay rent because the heat wasn't good and the landlord wouldn't raise the heat. The air conditioning wasn't good. He wouldn't turn on the air conditioning. The lighting wasn't good. He has all these complaints about the apartment, all of which were completely made up. But the landlord is still nervous because he knows that the judges tend to be very pro-tenant and against the landlord. He doesn't know what's going to happen. The judge turns to the tenant and he asks him one question. He says, tell me, did you pay rent the first month you were living there? The first month you were living there, did you pay rent? And the man says no. He says, then you have to pay everything. Because the first month you were there, you didn't know anything about the apartment yet. You didn't know if the air conditioner was going to work, the heat was going to work, electricity was going to work. You didn't even move in yet. You pay the first month's rent before you move in. He said, if you didn't even pay that month's rent, then I see that all your excuses are not really excuses for not paying the rent. It says Elimelech Biderman that Hashem knows exactly what we're capable of and not capable of. And Hashem wants to know, did we put in our effort? Did we try? If we try, then Hashem says, you try, and I'll take care of the rest. You try, and then I see you put in your full effort, and then I know what you're capable of and not capable of. But did you even try? If you don't even try, then all the excuses in the world are not going to help you. Hashem wanted Adam to be involved in the world. Hashem wanted him to put in his full effort. Not because Hashem needs his effort, because Hashem wants to see him trying. Hashem wants to see him be involved. We just finished a beautiful Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. And often people are so inspired, and they say, this year's going to be different, we're going to do something different. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, even if we're not going to keep up for the entire year, we're not going to keep up the promises that we made, we're going to try, maybe we'll be successful, and maybe we won't. But what about this first week? It's the first week, it's the first Parsha of the year, it's the first week of the year. Are we going to try this week? If we're going to try this week, then if there's excuses later on, then maybe those excuses are not excuses. But if we don't even try this week, then we see that our commitments were not real. So let's be mechazik ourselves. Let's strengthen ourselves. This first week of the year, let's do everything we could to make it as holy and as spiritual as possible. Let's make it be the Shabbos that we really dreamed of, the Shabbos that we really want to have. And if we do that, if we can make this Shabbos a beautiful Shabbos, exactly the way we said we were going to have our Shabboses from now on, this week, if we could make it a beautiful week, the way we said we were going to make it on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, then later if there's excuses, Hashem will understand. Hashem knows exactly what we're capable of and what we're not capable of. But this week, let's put in our all. Just this 1 week, let's make sure we're putting in our full effort. And may everyone have a great, beautiful Shabbos.